I met Sophia at a rooftop party in downtown Seattle 3 years ago. She stood out the moment she walked in, confident, stylish, magnetic. I was the quiet guy in the corner, software engineer with a stable life. She was the kind of woman who made you feel like the only one in the room. It didn't take long for us to fall into a rhythm, coffee dates, weekend trips, shared playlists. Within 6 months, she moved into my place, a 3-bedroom home I'd spent years building. I thought it was love. She made it feel like destiny. I added her to the deed after she said it would make her feel secure. Secure was the one thing I was always good at giving. I also named her my life insurance beneficiary because that's what partners do. That decision alone would later feel like the biggest mistake of my life. She was smart, too. Pharmaceutical sales rep, always networking and talking business. Whenever she spoke, people listened. I did too, probably more than anyone else. On the surface, we looked like a perfect couple, Instagram filter perfect. She had her white Audi, luxury wardrobe, and polished smile. I had my reliable Jeep, home gym, and early mortgage payoff. We balanced each other, or so I thought. She appreciated the lifestyle I offered, and I appreciated the companionship. I'd cook dinner, she'd talk about her day, we'd drift off watching Netflix. It wasn't glamorous, but I thought it was real. She talked about building a future, our forever home, and dream wedding plans. I believed her. I believed every word she said. In January, I proposed with a custom diamond ring. She said yes, with happy tears and 20 Instagram stories. It felt like the peak of our relationship, like everything was finally aligned. We toured wedding venues, picked colors, discussed starting a family one day. I paid deposits. She pinned centerpieces on Pinterest. Looking back, I missed the subtle cracks. The way she flinched when I mentioned budgeting. The way she demanded upgrades for the wedding every time. The way she treated my home like her showroom. I overlooked it all because I was in love. Truly, stupidly in love. The truth is, I was making her life easier while she planned her exit. But in those days, I didn't know that. I thought we were partners, building something meaningful. I placed her at the center of my world. Turns out, I was just a placeholder in hers. It was around February when the first subtle shifts started showing. Sophia began spending more time networking than being at home. At first, it was one night a week. Then 2. Then suddenly, she was gone 3 or 4 nights, always dressed to the nines. She said it was client dinners and industry events. I trusted her. But trust doesn't stop your mind from noticing patterns. She'd come home late, smelling like perfume and a different kind of energy. Her commission checks didn't match her shopping bags. I saw receipts from restaurants I'd never heard of. Spots too fancy for my usual coating, hoodie, and sneakers. Her makeup drawer expanded. Her gym schedule doubled. She signed up for a boutique gym across town. We had a full home gym, but suddenly it wasn't enough. She'd leave at 5 a.m. in perfect hair and matching Lululemon. I'd wake up alone, wondering if this was still a relationship or a routine. One night, I made her favorite pasta from scratch. She came home past 9, said she'd already eaten with clients. She barely looked at the table I'd set. Just showered and scrolled on Instagram next to me on the couch. She didn't see my disappointment. Or she did, but didn't care. Then came the name I'd soon come to hate. Lucas. She mentioned him casually at first. A doctor who ran a private practice. Really down to earth, she said. I nodded politely. But the mentions increased, like he was auditioning for a role in our story. She praised his drive, his looks, his lifestyle. Once she showed me a photo of his Porsche, said it was goals. That one stung. I'd worked hard for my forerunner, paid every penny without borrowing. But suddenly, stability wasn't sexy anymore. One afternoon, she came home glowing from a lunch meeting. I asked where she went. She said a cafe near the hospital. She didn't know I'd picked her up coffee from that same cafe that morning. And I didn't see her there. That was the first time doubt became something heavier. I began noticing mismatched timelines and empty explanations. I found a new perfume bottle under the sink I'd never smelled on her. She brushed it off when I asked, saying it was a sample gift. But that scent would later become the smell of betrayal. Still, I said nothing. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe we were still the couple planning a wedding. I wanted to believe she was just stressed, tired, overwhelmed. But the truth is, my gut already knew. The woman I loved was slipping through my fingers, and I didn't even know who she was slipping toward yet. The moment everything shifted was a random Wednesday in late March. I was working from home, drowning in lines of code and coffee fumes. I needed a break, so I grabbed lunch at a small sandwich shop near downtown. As I sat by the window, taking a bite of my turkey club, I saw something. Sophia, walking hand in hand with Lucas, the Porsche doctor. They looked nothing like coworkers. They looked like lovers. Lucas wrapped his arm around her waist. She laughed up at him, the same laugh she once saved for me. My stomach twisted, but my face didn't move. I watched them walk in, order, then sit at a table 3 spots away. I saw him kiss her cheek while she leaned into him. I heard her say, "I'll tell him soon, I just need time." I knew who him was. I took out my phone. I pressed record. No confrontation. No scene. Just evidence. They sat there for over an hour, sharing food, whispering, living like I didn't exist. I finished my lunch, paid my bill, and walked out quietly. That day, something in me broke, but something else woke up. I didn't go home and explode. I didn't ask her how her meeting went. I nodded and played along when she got home late, full of excuses. But behind the scenes, I got to work. I hired a private investigator the next morning. Cost me $4,000, but it was worth every cent. He followed her for 2 weeks. Dinner dates, late-night visits to Lucas's penthouse, hotel stays, it was all documented. I got a 32-page report with photos, timestamps, even statements from a building concierge. She'd been seeing him for months. My life had become a background for their romance. Meanwhile, I sat in my home, cooking her dinner, paying the bills, planning our wedding. The day I got the pie's final report, I sat in my truck for an hour. Not crying. Not raging. Just processing the scale of it. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was activated. I told myself, "You are done being played." I made a list. Remove her from the house. Remove her from my finances. Cut her out completely. Not a breakup. A purge. And I would do it without a single argument or tear. That night, she came home smelling of his cologne. She kissed my cheek and said she was tired. I smiled back, thinking, "You have no idea what's coming." The first step was changing the locks. I scheduled a locksmith for a Friday morning when Sophia was sure to be at work. He arrived at 9 a.m., no questions asked. By 10:15, every entry point was rekeyed. Front door, garage, back door, even the side gate. I felt lighter with every metal click. Next, I gathered every single thing that belonged to her. Clothes, shoes, makeup, purses, gifts, books, even the fancy air fryer she bought. I packed it all in boxes methodically, like closing chapters. While folding her designer dress, I found a second phone in her drawer. Unlock code was her birthday. The messages inside were a graveyard of deceit. "I miss you already. When are you leaving him? Last night was perfect." Each line was a nail in the coffin of our future. I took screenshots, sent them to my email, and packed the phone back. No drama. Just records. By 2 p.m., my SUV was loaded with her past life. I drove it to a storage unit 20 minutes outside town. Paid for 3 months up front, left everything there neatly. I sent her only text of the day. Your belongings are at storage box, unit 407, code 5421. Rent paid through July. No explanation. Just information. Back home, I sat in the quiet of my now empty space. No stray perfume bottles. No abandoned coffee cups. No trace of her chaos in my calm. I grabbed my go bag, something I hadn't touched in months, and got in my Jeep. I drove straight to the airport and bought a one-way ticket to Denver. I didn't tell a soul except Jack, my best friend, who simply replied, "Do what you need to." On the plane, I watched the city shrink beneath me. I turned off my phone before takeoff. I wasn't running away. I was leaving dead weight behind. The moment the plane took off, I felt it. Relief. Not sadness. Not anger. Just a clean, quiet break from everything that had been draining me. She could come home to closed doors, cold silence, and no one to play games with anymore. No note. No scene. Just absence. Sometimes the most brutal revenge is peace. In Colorado, I stayed in a quiet cabin with a mountain view and spotty Wi-Fi. Perfect for going dark. I didn't check my phone for 2 days. On day 3, curiosity won. 70 missed calls. Over 100 texts. Most from Sophia. They started frantic, then angry, then pleading. I didn't reply to a single one. In one voice message, she screamed about the illegal lock change. In the next, she cried, saying she deserved an explanation. I sipped whiskey on the porch and watched the mountains turn orange at sunset. Back in Seattle, things were falling apart for her. She called my parents, my friends, even my boss. Everyone shut her out. Because I told them the truth. With proof. Then the legal storm began. Sophia's lawyer emailed mine, claiming she was entitled to half the house. That she helped build the life inside those walls. My attorney, Maggie Lewis, was a weapon with a law degree. She responded with receipts. 0 financial contribution. Proof of infidelity. Evidence she lived rent-free for over a year. Maggie gave her a choice. Sign off the house deed and walk away quietly. Or fight and get buried under debt and court fees. A week passed. Sophia's lawyer sent a counteroffer. She'd give up the deed if I paid her $50,000 for emotional distress. Maggie snorted, and she read it to me on speaker phone. "The audacity is strong with this one," she said. We sent one final offer. No payment. No contact. Deed signed off. Or we sue for back rent, utilities, and emotional damages. Her silence lasted 3 days. And then her signature arrived. Just like that, she was erased from the house records, finances, and my future. One last attempt came via email from her. "I never meant for this to happen. Can we talk?" I didn't respond. Silence was the only answer she deserved. I stayed in Colorado 1 more week. Drank coffee every morning with a view she never earned. When I finally returned home, the house felt bigger. Cleaner. Mine. No trace of her left behind. I turned off the security cameras I'd installed months ago. There was nothing left to protect. Sophia tried one last stunt. Small claims court for a joint account balance of $400. Maggie sent a single-page reminder of the signed settlement. Sophia dropped the case. I never heard from her again. Freedom wasn't loud. It was quiet floors, late-night reading, and a fridge full of things only I liked. Winning didn't look like revenge. It looked like peace. 5 months passed slowly at first, then all at once. Routine came back to my life, like a forgotten favorite song. Wake up. Make coffee. Enjoy silence. No perfume in the air. No arguments about nothing. Just stillness. Sophia was now a distant echo, a name I no longer flinched at. Word traveled through mutual friends, though I didn't ask. She was living with Lucas now. The glamorous doctor with the least Porsche and massive medical debt. Turns out, after she left my house, reality started knocking hard. Lucas expected her to split everything 50-50. No more partner perks, no more dinners paid by someone else. Sophia, once the queen of excess, was now working weekends at a boutique shop. Rent, car payments, loans, she was drowning in her own lifestyle. And the best part, she couldn't even blame me. I'd given her the lifeboat. She jumped ship anyway. One day, I saw her at Whole Foods. She looked pale, thinner, older somehow. Lucas was next to her, checking prices on vegetables. I wasn't invisible. She saw me first. She froze, eyes wide like a ghost in daylight. I didn't say a word. I just kept shopping. I walked past her like she was no one. Because at that point she was. Jack was with me, pushing the cart. Later he said, "Dude, she looked like her soul left her body." I shrugged. You can't miss something you don't want back. And it was true. All those years, I loved her felt like a distant dream. The good memories faded. The bad ones became lessons. I deleted the photos, sold the engagement ring, and stopped checking her socials. Except once a month, out of petty curiosity, through a burner. Always the same captions. Living my best life. Blessed. But the eyes never lie. I saw exhaustion, tension, and a reality that didn't match the filters. Meanwhile, I met someone new. Someone whole on her own. Someone who didn't measure love by gifts or ownership. We cooked dinner at my house, the home that finally felt like mine again. We stayed up late talking, no secrets lurking in the walls. I never once checked her phone. Because trust was no longer a gamble. It was a choice I earned the right to make again. Looking back, I wasn't proud of the pain. But I was proud of how I handled it. No screaming. No begging. No second chances. Just quiet action and a clean exit. Some bridges don't burn. They sink beneath the surface and become seas you don't ever cross again. In the end, peace was the loudest revenge. And self-respect was the greatest closure. Looking back, I don't regret a single move I made. Not the silence. Not the flight. Not the locked doors and packed boxes. Everything I did was for the version of myself that forgot he deserved peace. Sophia wasn't the villain, not really. She was just the lesson I needed to stop loving blindly. Some people teach you how to love, others teach you how to leave. She did both. And now, when I wake up in a quiet house, I don't feel emptiness. I feel space. Space I earned. Space I protect. I don't wish her well, and I don't wish her pain. I just don't wish it all. Sometimes the best closure is no closure. Just moving forward without turning back. In the end, I didn't lose her. I lost someone who was blocking the door to better things. And that's not a loss. That's a win.